The chair recognizes Representative Durhal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I offer an amendment to House Bill 4102. My amendment would restore appropriations for revenue sharing of $5.8 million to the City of Detroit, which was reduced in this budget process. This amendment would also hold harmless revenue sharing of $5.8 million to be dispersed to 101 city, villages, and townships that received revenue sharing in the prior fiscal year but were eliminated in the governor's recommendation this fiscal year. This amendment would take $5.8 million appropriated from the Michigan Strategic Fund line item for business attraction and restore the funding accordingly. Mr. Speaker, last year in this chamber, many of my colleagues now who are currently in this chamber worked in a bipartisan fashion to pass legislation which helped the City of Detroit, Michigan's largest city, emerge from the largest municipal bankruptcy in history and get back on the road to fiscal responsibility and fiscal stability. One legislator was quoted as saying that the bipartisan efforts and achievement of the grand bargain legislation was the 97th legislature's finest hour. And with the legislation which came to be known as the grand bargain, the City of Detroit began its journey to fiscal recovery by establishing a plan of adjustment and criteria for the City of Detroit to adhere to. And this plan of adjustment still exists and is being followed by our city currently as I speak. This is not your standard bankruptcy, and to reduce revenue sharing to the City of Detroit would be a step in the wrong direction and would contradict the fine work done by this previous legislature. This reduction would also contradict a few other things, Mr. Speaker. One, the revenue projections contained in the City of Detroit's comprehensive plan of adjustment includes a 2-year budget prescribed by the former emergency manager pursuant to Public Act 436 of 2012. Also, the 4-year financial plan that Detroit submitted on March 23rd of this year to the Financial Review Commission pursuant to Public Act 181 of 2014. More specifically, I ask this body to please consider the following recent history. The plan of adjustment that was prepared by the City of Detroit's emergency manager and approved by our governor and the federal bankruptcy court details how the City of Detroit's debt shall be adjusted to help the municipality meet basic service requirements for residents and visitors, as well as retire remaining debt obligations over a 10, 20, and 40-year period. The Michigan Financial Review Commission, prescribed in Public Act 181 of 2014, is charged with ensuring that the post-bankruptcy Detroit is complying with the terms and the conditions of the plan of adjustment. Also, the state reduction of Detroit's revenue sharing to $191.7 million in this fiscal year from $195.8 million today would be a material deviation from the plan of adjustment and force the municipality to make substantial cuts in its recently submitted budget. The plan of adjustment in Detroit's 4-year fiscal financial plan both project and depend on the city's revenue sharing equaling at least $197.4 million in this fiscal year, $199 million in the next fiscal year, $200.7 million in fiscal year 2018, and $202.5 million in fiscal year 2019. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to believe that the intent of the reduction of Detroit's revenue sharing in this budget, the intentions were to provide for the other 101 city, villages, and townships. And this is why in my amendment, I have proposed an alternative where no city or municipality would be harmed and receive the same amount of revenue sharing that they have received in the previous fiscal year. Revenue sharing is an important dynamic to a city, village, or township for their fiscal stability, success, and the ability to provide much-needed services such as police, fire, EMS, and other public services for its citizens. And that being said, I don't think that we should force our cities to compete for these funds, and one city should not gain them at the detriment of another. So, Mr. Speaker, in closing, I urge my colleagues to do what is right and not take a step backwards and undo the tremendous work that it took to create something so grand and ultimately place the City of Detroit in a financial predicament where it will have to make difficult decisions concerning its public safety and services to adhere to a plan created in this very body. So I respectfully request that my colleagues support this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. The question before the House is on the adoption of the amendment. The clerk will open the board. The amendment is not adopted.